Hey everybody, this is Tracy here with another edition of A View from Tracy's Point. And today we are here for part 7 of my R.Kelly series. And we're going to be talking about Dominique Gardner. So before I get started with this video, I have so many people that tell me all the time, Tracy, you need to tell people to subscribe to your channel, to leave comments. You never do that. You know, that's how you grow your channel. So first, I want to thank everybody who has subscribed to my channel. I was thinking a year ago, well, a little over a year ago, I had like 600 subscribers. My channel was demonetized under the new YouTube rules, and now I am at over 2,000 subscribers. So I want to thank all of my subscribers, and I also want to thank the people who comment on the videos faithfully. Your comments are appreciated, and it does help me when I'm thinking like, why am I even wasting my time? So like I say, people inbox me and basically saying, encourage the people to subscribe to your channel, encourage the people to comment. And so that's what I'm doing. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and leave comments as you're watching the video and think of things. And so let's go ahead and get into this video. And for those of you not familiar with the whole R. Kelly case, Dominique Gardner was once in a, whatever this is going on, R. Kelly's harem or cult or whatever you want to call it. And she is the girl, if you watch the Surviving R. Kelly docu-series, she was the one that was in the alleged, well, I shouldn't say alleged, but the scripted rescue. I think it was in the last 2 episodes, so it was a 6-part series. So she was featured in part 5 and part 6, and her mom was rescuing her from a hotel where R. Kelly had the girls staying at, and she went home, but then she returned a few days later, which I don't think they aired on the docu-series. Don't quote me on that because I didn't watch the whole docu-series. But she did go back a few days later. She stayed for like 2 or 3 weeks. And then her brother was graduating from high school, and she wanted to go to the graduation, and I guess R. Kelly was upset, that she had left with her mom and, had been a part of that docu-series. So he told her no, she couldn't go, and so she became outraged that he was telling her that she couldn't go to the brother's graduation, and so she left. And then in one of my, it may be part 6, I shared that on her Instagram page, she doesn't post much. She only has about maybe 6 to 9 posts on her Instagram, but she posted a poem where she was basically talking about R. Kelly, and then in the comments, people, were responding to the poem, and they were, just pretty much saying what everybody else is saying. We're sorry this happened to you. Why won't you come out and speak against him? And she basically shut it down in the comments and was saying that she wasn't going to speak against him, that she still loved him, and that she really just wished that he would get help for his issues. And she also went on to say that she wants to talk to him, but he won't answer her calls. He won't return her phone calls. And so, people were kind of like, going with the Stockholm Syndrome thing, going with the brainwashed. And she says that it's neither one of those, that she was with him for 9 years. She's actually 27, 28 years old now. And she said it was just a situationship, okay? It was a complicated relationship. But anyway, she said in the comments that she wasn't interested in doing any books, any films, any interviews, or anything like that, that she wasn't going to speak out against him or speak negatively about him. And I'm paraphrasing this. I'm not quoting her because I didn't feel like pulling up the Instagram and scrolling through those hundreds and hundreds of comments trying to find her comments. So I'm just pretty much summing up what she said in the comments in response to people that were responding to this poem that she wrote. And you know what? I'll read the poem to you though, because that'll be easy to find. So I'm going to go ahead and read this poem, and she does drop the F word in the poem, but I'm not going to say it because YouTube is changing their policies, and now they're going to be looking into the first 30 seconds of videos to make sure that people aren't using profanity. So I don't use profanity anyway, so a lot of times when I'm doing my videos, I'll just say the S word, the F word, that type of thing. I don't really say the words, but she does um, make a word in this poem, so I'm going to just say the initial. So it's called Make Amends by Dominique Gardner. Why do I have to go through something effed up just to get focused? My procrastination is the worst. That's why my truth goes unnoticed. Every time I trick my mind believing I'm going to do something, each and every time this mother effer is unfurling a lie. I vow to say no names. I'm done with the daddy games. I still have love for you till this day. Until you acknowledge the demons, nothing will ever go your way. So she wrote that last Wednesday, I believe, and then there were a lot of comments, like I said, so she was responding to people. And then once she had this back and forth with this one person basically saying how she felt, people, I don't think she responded that much to anybody else. And then later that day or that week, she did a post called I'm in love with a girl, and she hashtags her mom, Michelle Kramer, who you guys have probably seen on social media doing interviews and talking about Dominique and speaking on Dominique's behalf. And so the reason I'm doing this video is because a lot of people were saying, why is the mom speaking for her? Why can't she speak for herself? We want to hear from her so that we know it's her words and not her mom, making up or adding on to things. And people get really upset when you talk about the mom because they think she's mother of the year, and she's superwoman because she rescued her daughter from the situation. But if you've been following this whole R. Kelly saga, there are several YouTubers that have uncovered, based on interviews that other people from the docuseries have done and footage that has been revealed that basically showed that the rescue of Dominique wasn't as it was edited to appear on the Surviving R. Kelly series. And so there's some question about, because evidently Michelle Kramer was doing her own little thing, and then the Savages had something going on. It was either the Savages or the Clarys had something going on where they were trying to get their daughters out of the situation. And so basically what the people did with the Surviving R. Kelly reality series is what I really should call it, because all this stuff is coming out. The people on the thing are turning against each other. But basically they took footage from the one parents trying to do whatever they were doing, and then they took footage from the Michelle Kramer little rescue thing, and then they were intertwining and intermingling this stuff to make it seem more dramatic. So what you saw on television on Lifetime isn't 100% accurate as to what happened. But Dominique did decide to leave and go home with her mom, and like I said a few minutes ago, she did end up going back to R. Kelly. She stayed for several weeks, and then he told her she couldn't go to her brother's graduation. She got upset and she left. So the basis of this video is that I came across this article, and it was so interesting because it's actually by a guy who is writing a book about R. Kelly and this whole thing that's going on. And he is his book is supposed to come out in June of this year. And so he's been in contact with Dominique for quite some time. And he recently interviewed her. And so I'm going to read this article to you guys to give you an update, because he is quoting her, the things that she's saying. So for those people that are like, why is the mom always speaking for her? Now we have some actual quotes where she did this interview with this guy. You can find this article on the New Yorker. So the person that interviewed her, his name is Jim DeRogatis, and he is a Chicago-based music journalist and critic, and he's the co-host of the weekly public radio show Sound Opinions, and is an associate professor at Columbia College in Chicago. And the name of the book that is coming out in June is called Soulless: The Case Against R. Kelly. So he writes, early last Thursday morning, I received the latest in a series of calls from Dominique Gardner, a former girlfriend of R. Kelly, who said she was eager when we met that night to, quote, give my truth. For 9 years, Gardner, who is 27, was one of R. Kelly's lovers. For part of that time, she says she was one of 6 women living with the singer. In the documentary series Surviving R. Kelly, Gardner appears in the final 2 episodes, and we watch as her mother, Michelle Kramer, tracks her down to a Los Angeles hotel and convinces her to leave the singer's cult. Gardner told me that she has not watched any of the dramatic scenes nor any of the documentary. And he quotes Dominique as saying, "What's the point of seeing it when I lived it? People are using it as entertainment when it wasn't entertainment for me, you know." So after being reunited with her mother last May, Gardner returned to Kelly's side 3 days later and stayed with him for almost 2 more weeks until she finally walked away for good. She is now living in the north side of Chicago, working and saving money for a studio apartment of her own. And then Gardner says, "I would probably still be there if he would have let me go to my little brother's graduation. I'd still be there, but when he told me no, I'm like, what is wrong with you? You don't let people see their families, I guess, because we might realize how much freedom and happiness we have out there with our families." She was especially close to her younger brother and missing her family gatherings while she was with Kelly, and that it bothered her. She had always been a good student. Kramer wanted her to be a dental hygienist. Gardner aspires to be a writer and a poet. And I thought that was interesting because it's like, why are you aspiring for your child to be a dental hygienist? Shouldn't you be aspiring for them to be the dentist? And then if dental school isn't in the works, then say, okay, well, then be a dental hygienist. But I just think as a parent, we should always aspire for the top of the game for our kids. But anyway, that's just me. So Gardner looked healthier and happier than she did when we first met in July. At that point, she had left Kelly a month earlier and was startlingly underweight. We had met in a bar in Chicago where she spoke haltingly while looking out the big plate glass windows, watching for any black SUV that might stop and linger. So Gardner says, "I wouldn't put it past him to have his guys following me." And then he goes on to say, "On Thursdays, as in the past, we started by talking about music. We are both big fans of Kendrick Lamar and our tattoos. She says she admires how I am all tatted up with the logos of more than a dozen of my favorite bands clearly visible on my forearms. Only one of her tattoos, a lion's head, on the back of her right hand can be readily seen, and I asked if she had others. She said that she also has 2 images of R. Kelly's face, one on her left leg and another on her rib cage. A particularly painful place to get a tattoo, she knows." Now, child. Okay, I probably should be speaking on the tattoo issue because it would be a cold day in hell before I would get a tattoo. And I have really, my daughters have come to me about they wanted to get tattoos, and I'm like, nope, don't do that, don't do that. But that aside, just my not really being into the whole tattoo thing, I really have an issue when people tattoo people that they're dating or married to name, and she went so far as to have his face tattooed on her body. Oh my God, Portia, y'all know Portia was dealing with them tattoos on Real Housewives of Atlanta, where Dennis allegedly be tattooing people's names and faces on his body every time he dates somebody, and I thought that was crazy as hell. But okay, so I wonder if Azriel and Dominique have tattoos, or if any of the other women that were on that docu-series, if any of them have tattoos. Hell, does Andrea have a tattoo? So for the final years of Gardner's time dating Kelly, the group of women also living with him included Joycelyn Savage and Azriel Clary, who are still with the singer. Last week, Savage and Clary defended Kelly in an interview with Gayle King on CBS This Morning. And let me stop right there because y'all know I didn't come back and do the rest of them. Remember, I was telling y'all that I don't get up until 10 o'clock in the morning. But I'm going to be honest with you. After I watched that first day, I was mentally exhausted. And so I found out that they were going to do a special on that Friday night. So I said, oh, you know what? I'm not going to get up early and watch these little snippets and back and forth and replaying. I'm just going to go ahead and watch the Friday night series, because she had said that the Friday night special, because she had said that she actually had been there for like 80 minutes interviewing R. Kelly and his women. And so I'm thinking, okay, we're going to get the full interview on Friday night. And then I sat there and watched on Friday night, and it was still like the stuff they had showed on Wednesday through Friday. It was a lot of back and forth. Like before, she done went and rehashed the whole R. Kelly, Surviving R. Kelly series, got interviews with the people from that. And I'm just like, really? So we still don't get to see the whole 80 minutes. We still just got, these little snippets that they done edited and patched together and moved around. And so it was obvious that Gail was speaking for Dream Hampton in that series. And so, child, I said, But I did record the show. I might go back and watch it again and give you guys a recap video of that interview. But it's enough people out here covering this R. Kelly story that some of them probably got it. But I will probably eventually, sometime this week, do a video. So back to this article. So they told King that they love Kelly and are living there and are living where they choose to live, but they also appeared scripted and defensive on camera. Later, King described how Kelly hovered in the background while Clary and Savage were interviewed. He coughed loudly at times as if to remind the two women that he was within earshot. Now, my thoughts on that could possibly have been that, he didn't want them to say something that could incriminate him. Not so much that he was trying to intimidate them, but basically saying, okay, you giving up too much information about something you probably shouldn't be giving up information about. And I think he probably was doing it when Azrael was talking about the father blackmailing and paying the $20,000 and then coming back wanting $10,000 more, because I'm thinking if R. Kelly gave her dad $20,000, it was surely a cash payment. So he didn't want people knowing that he got Valencia Love out there paying his bond while he giving Angelo Clary $20,000. And then also it would have made it seem that he did actually pay for Azrael, other than he was being blackmailed by the father, and that's why he gave him the money. And then if he was being blackmailed, what was he being blackmailed for? So that's probably why R. Kelly was standing back there to my and then you had Jocelyn there, rubbing on the back and like basically saying, like, girl, you better shut up, you're going too far. So back to the article. So one of my first questions for Gardner was if she regrets spending a third of her life with Kelly, because remember she was 27 years old and she's 27 and had been with him for 9 years. So the word cult is one that Gardner rejects as well as brainwashed. And then she goes on to say, I am not just about to spread lies about him, but she struggles to find a better way to describe a situation that, according to her, people don't really understand, at least not the way she does. And so Gardner says, I wouldn't even say mind games. It was just the fact that he tried to break me. I couldn't be broken. He wanted that control over me, and I wouldn't give him that power. So he figured, like, if I don't give her food, she'll come around. Nope, I'd rather die than come around and give you my soul. Woo. Child. Now, if somebody wants your soul, that's kind of like, that's really, really deep, okay? Like, that means they want total control over you. And I'm trying to think, like, I've dated guys that have strong personalities like that, and ironically, the one that comes to mind is actually a Capricorn. So I think it's just they got some narcissistic stuff going on, but he probably was like even more turned on by the fact that she was so resistant than he probably felt about the women that just went along. Like he probably I don't know, it probably just was a turn on to him that she was resistant. So keeping up with the news about Kelly in recent weeks has been dizzying. On February 21st, the New Yorker reported that the Department of Homeland Security is investigating him for sex trafficking and violations of the Mann Act. The next day, Kelly was indicted by the state of Illinois on 10 counts of aggravated sexual abuse, including 4 victims. He spent 3 nights in jail before a woman who identified herself in court papers as a friend posted his $100,000 bond. On March 5th, King conducted an 80-minute interview with Kelly at the Trump Tower in Chicago, where he now lives. Kelly spent the next 3 nights in jail, failing to pay $161,000 in back child support payments until an anonymous donor paid the court. Kelly was released on Saturday night. So in the interview with King, Kelly became histrionic, crying, standing up, and directly addressing the cameras, which prompted an avalanche of internet memes and the cold open on last week's episode of Saturday Night Live. So the singer insisted that he was innocent of all the charges and accusations against him, and he branded all the women speaking against him as liars. And then he's quoted as saying, "I'm not Lucifer, I'm a man." He told King, and then also, "I make mistakes, but I'm not a devil, and by no means am I a monster." So although Gardner did not watch the full interview, she had seen that snippet. And she says, "That's not genuine. That's the devil talking. Talking about I'm not Lucifer. Yes, you are." But she is clearly conflicted about Kelly. She also insisted that, quote, "he is a giver because when everything between me and him was good, oh my God, it was like perfect. But as soon as he gets mad, he turns into a person like, oh, what up? The new Rob." And then Gardner goes on to say that at the end of the day, I am not playing victim. I done did some S-H-I-T. Gardner says that she slept with 2 other men while she was one of Kelly's girlfriends. Now that was kind of interesting right there because who were these 2 men? Like, was these some 2 men you met out in the street somewhere, or were these 2 men that was in R. Kelly's entourage? And so she goes on to say maybe it did hurt him that I was giving up to Nikki. Like, what man wouldn't be hurt to find out that his woman is out there sleeping with other men, and what woman wouldn't be upset to find out that her man is out there sleeping with other women, right? And so she says, maybe he was in love with me, but I never gave him a fair chance. And so the writer goes on to say the desire to convey her complex feelings about life with Kelly is what prompted Gardner to first email me in July of 2018 with the all-cap subject line, "Privacy and Everything." We traded many texts and emails before she decided that it was time to meet again and tell her story publicly for the first time. Every time we talked, I asked her if she was in therapy. She was initially reluctant, but last Thursday she said she finally had her first session with a counselor in early March. So we're in early March right now, ain't we? So I guess she had, maybe the poem was prompted from her having her first counseling session. Because like I said, that was last week, and last week was the first, I think that was on March 6th maybe. Yeah, so she just went to the counseling recently, like within the last week. So Gardner met Kelly in mid-2009 after a friend and fellow superfan, Geronda Johnson, who she met on MySpace, passed along his phone number. Johnson, now Geronda Pace, is one of the 4 victims in the current Illinois charges against Kelly. According to prosecutors, Pace had sexual contact with him starting at the age of 16. She broke the non-disclosure agreement that she signed with Kelly by talking to me in August 2017. Part of the motivation, she said, was because she was concerned that Kelly was mistreating her friend Dominique. Oh, and did y'all check out that clip I showed in my previous video of Miss Geronda on the Bill Cunningham show, where her sister had brought her on the show because she wanted her to stop prostituting and come take care of her child? So I'm trying to figure out. So Geronda said she met him during the trial, which would have been 2018, and that they kicked it for like 10 months or something like that. So did she become a prostitute after he broke up with her? And then where did she meet this husband? Where did the husband come along between R. Kelly having babies and prostituting herself? When did she find time to get married? And where's her husband now that she out here stalking R. Kelly at these court hearings, these bond hearings, these arraignments? Like, she cannot get enough of him. And then she actually said in a previous interview that she's just concerned and want to make sure that her friend is okay. But this girl been home for 6, 7 months, so she know that the girl is okay. Or maybe she just ain't talking to Geronda, don't want to be Geronda's friend anymore. But anyway, back to the article. So in the summer of 2009, Gardner, who had just graduated from Hillcrest High School, enrolled to study dental hygiene per her mother's wishes. Gardner said that she first became intimate with Kelly at that time when she was 17, the age of consent in Illinois. Kelly was then 42. Although she loved his music, Gardner says, quote, I was never starstruck with him because I didn't see the R.Kelly side, I saw the Robert side. So Gardner continued to live in her mother's house for the first few years that she dated R.Kelly. Kramer did not approve, but Gardner saw the singer often, visiting him at the mansion that he owned in the Chicago suburb of Olympia Fields. On June 14, 2009, the police visited the mansion in search of Gardner after her family had called them concerned that the teenager was there with Kelly. Gardner wasn't there at the time. She was at a cousin's house, she said. Police did not have a search warrant and they left without taking any action. So in 2015, Gardner quit school and began living with Kelly, whom she says, or whom she calls a musical genius, and 5 other steady girlfriends, in addition to other women who came and went. The women who lived with Kelly stayed in one of 2 homes he had rented in the Atlanta suburbs of Johns Creek. Atlanta is where he changed, according to Dominique. He was like, something switched. Before that, I used to go home on a regular basis. I was able to call my family. Then all of a sudden, it was no. So what y'all think happened when they got to Atlanta and R. Kelly like flipped the script on them? Like, do y'all think some tendencies, like some hidden tendencies started to surface? Because and I'm not saying he's gay or anything, but I'm saying that a lot of times people that are abused have some tendencies that they're suppressing. And if you watch a Young Lil Fix My Life, whenever she's talking about child molestation, especially when men have been molested boys have been molested by other men, they seem like they always turn out to be gay. So maybe being in Atlanta with all them gay people is like maybe he suppresses that urge to be with men. Maybe that came out. And then a lot of times you'll hear about people who commit like mass murders and stuff. Sometimes they are like trying to suppress their homosexual tendencies, and they get triggered like when you're fighting that tendency and then people start calling you those names and stuff, they get very angry and lash out. And you'll find that like in cases where there's shootings like on college campuses and stuff like that. So I don't know. Something happened in Atlanta. Just trying to figure out what it is. Like, what do you guys think happened with R. Kelly when he was in Atlanta and just flipped the script on the women? Sources have said that the women who live with Kelly have to follow what he calls his rules. Gardner does not use that term and says some of what Kelly's accusers are saying is wrong. For example, she was allowed to watch television and connect with the internet, and there was no lock on the doors. If them 2 other girls, Joy and Azriel, want to walk out, they can do that. However, Gardner said that Kelly did take away his girlfriend's phones, replacing them with new ones to be used only with him. He did not allow them to contact their parents, family members, or friends. He decreed that they should all wear baggy gym clothes so other men could not admire their bodies. He did not want them to look at or speak to other men, and they had to ask for permission to eat or to go to the bathroom. So Dominique says, I couldn't even drink without his permission. I'm a grown-ass woman. I've got to ask you if I want to drink. Everything you do, you have to ask him. That's not living. That's not normal. I've got to ask to use the effing bathroom. Are you serious? I'm about to pee on myself if I can't get in contact with you. What the F is this? Gardner said that she was the tomboy among Kelly's girlfriends and the most rebellious. She often disobeyed him and suffered what she called consequences, including spankings, slappings, beatings, and being hit with an extension cord. Um, okay, Okay, anyway. So once after she threw a carrot at R. Kelly, she says he grabbed me and he pulled my hair out, and I had like patches torn out of my hair. The consequences came when Kelly felt as if we disrespected him or disobeyed him. It's like a parent when your children go against your word. Okay, in that part, R. Kelly has seriously lost his mind. And I'm sitting there thinking, there was about six of y'all up at 6 or 7 of y'all in the house. Y'all can jump on that Negro and whoop his behind and get him back to the R. Kelly he was when y'all was living in Chicago. Like, what kind of control somebody got over you that you fixing to let them treat you like they your daddy or something and whooping you with an extension cord? Like, my daddy ain't never hit. I've only had one whooping in my life. And I don't know if y'all remember the W.T. Grant store. If they had them all over the country, but they were sort of like the Kmart. I think they were replaced by Kmart. You know how Kmart was replaced by Walmart. But I used to love paper dolls, and we were at the store, and I wanted these paper dolls, and my daddy told me I couldn't have no paper dolls. But I put them paper dolls in the buggy, and when we got to the register, he saw them paper dolls. He went ahead and paid for them paper dolls, and then when I got home, I paid for them paper dolls because I got out that car and went in the house. I was actually in the back seat playing with the paper dolls. They went in, him and my sister went in the house. So I finally get out the car and I go in the house, and my daddy was hiding behind the front door. Child, when I came through that door, he tore my behind up. That was the one and the only time that my daddy ever whooped me. And I really think that it emotionally scarred him more than it emotionally scarred me. But anyway, back to the article. So I have asked Gardner several times why she stayed with Kelly for 9 years and what she believes is the source of his hold over the women who live with him. In the past, she has struggled to answer both questions. Finally, during our most recent meeting, she called up an image of the star on her new cell phone. It was his most recent mug shot. She says, it's like I know them eyes. Every time I looked in his eyes, I knew he was sorry. Like when he hit me, he was like he apologized. Like he said, I done did some things and I apologize for it. I'm like, you did. But enough was enough. Yes, you did say, I'm sorry. Okay, but then again, you do it again when S don't go your way. I kind of like stay away from using the term, how people saying Stockholm Syndrome and brainwashed and all that. I stay away from them terms because I know grown women who live like this, whose husbands and boyfriends treat them this way. And we don't call those people brainwashed. We call them stupid. Like, why is you staying in this situation, putting up with this foolishness? And so I think she stayed there till she was 27 years old. She had been there for 9 whole years. Like, oh my God, like that is crazy. But then again, Andrea said he treated her the same way. So I don't know, maybe some women just can't break loose from that type of treatment. So Gardner said that Kelly would often discuss the sexual abuse that he claims he suffered beginning at the age of 8 from an older female relative, and also his difficulties reading and writing. So she says at the end of the day, he's a victim too because he went through some S, and people, they don't understand. On the same day in March that Gardner had her first therapy session, she was visited at work by investigators from the Department of Homeland Security. And she says, they're like, we've been trying to reach you and talk to you, Gardner said, referring to the investigators. And I was like, about what? So they gave me a card. I just ripped it up and I'm just, whatever. I'm not talking to you guys. So remember I said on her Instagram, she was basically saying that she just wants to heal. She's not going to be talking about it. But now I'm wondering, since she's talking to this guy with the New Yorker, will she eventually talk to investigators and participate in any kind of criminal hearing or anything? So Gardner has been stung by criticism that she should have spoken out against Kelly sooner, or that she should go to the authorities. When we spoke after Surviving R. Kelly aired, she told me, "I just want to heal. I just want my privacy. People may disagree or hate me for what I'm saying. That's the reason why I never wanted to come out, because I'm not trying to defend him and what he has done. But at the end of the day, you don't understand what he's been through as a child." She said that she does not believe Kelly should be in jail. "I feel like he should be on house arrest in the studio because, like I said, his music makes him get through the situations, what he's going through. Jail time, no. He needs to have a 24-hour therapist at his house." And then she added, he needs to be honest about his behavior. Here she addressed the man whom she claims to still love. And she says, "You can stop the cycle. Just be honest. People don't want you in jail." Well, I don't know what people Dominique is talking to, because I see a whole bunch of people that say that they want him in jail. Now, a lot of them are trolls that are probably being paid to go on social media, YouTube, Twitter, and all these places and just repeat these redundant conversations that they're posting, but they say they want him in jail. They want him to rot in hell in jail. They want the same things that he's did to these children to happen to him, but we all know that they were not children. They were teenagers making their own decisions and seeking something from him. And yes, he should have been adult in the situation and say, "No, I'm not going down that path," but he did. And here we are today. So, guys, what do you think about this interview that she did? Do you think that she's going to eventually, as she gets into counseling, deeper into counseling, she'll be more comfortable telling her story? Will she write a book like all the rest of them have written books? And I haven't read any of the books that the women have written. I did sit through the first video with Kaya, where she read one of the books, Daddy's Little Girl or something like that, that people are saying was written by Geronda. And I know Geronda wrote another book, but they're saying that Daddy's Little Girl was also written by Geronda. But I went on Amazon, to look and see what these books were about and what the ratings were. And they're saying like these books are very poorly written, that they are barely 100 pages, and it really doesn't give you much information. And then I think the Lisa Van Allen lady, she's been on the circuit advertising that she has a book that's coming out, detailing what she said that she went through. Can we even take any of these books serious? Like, are they sensationalizing? Are they doing it to capitalize on what they're going through? I don't know. You guys let me know what you think. And then I will, suffer through that Gayle King interview and come back in a couple of days with my thoughts on that. And then I'm also thinking about doing another video that I've actually started outlining, which will be part 8 of the R. Kelly series. And then I still need to bring you guys I was going to talk to you guys about that book called Trust Me, I'm Lying, and pretty much let you guys know why you shouldn't believe anything that you read in the blogs like TMZ, and how CNN, and which were once reputable news stations, are now quoting bloggers and that type of thing, and that these people are just being paid to promote a narrative. So I still owe you that video, and so a couple more videos will be coming out. So that's it for me. Leave your comments below, rate the video if you haven't done so already, and until the next time, I shall talk to you guys later. Bye bye.